also the question of what to digitalize, what not to digitalize, and setting up information systems that are smartly interconnected, but also transparency, participation, following accountability of what we spend with tax money. So for now, we would say the resources are key, and this is what we talk about today, and the people as well as the money, the investments here. So let me introduce the panel to you today. Often I would say, like physically here. I'm happy that Ms. Beate Albert is here today. She's the head of the Smart City unit at a Berlin Partner for Business and Technology. Thank you for being here.
Hello, everyone.
And on her left side, we have Mrs. Angela Jain. She has been our keynote speaker today, earlier today at Smart Change conference. And she's the co-lead of the Smart City project Modellprojekt Berlin at the Senate Chancellery, so the mayor's office, the governing mayor's office in Berlin. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
And now let's see, technically, if it's possible, I see two of our other speakers in Southeast Asia that are linked here. Juan is waving at the end, Juan, and also Arakin. From Kirk, we have heard today a perspective from the Social Initiative Partei, as well as from the national level in Thailand already. But now we have our single guest here from the business side, talking about their involvement in smart city policy and also investments in Bangkok. Mr. Arakin Rakchittapoke, thank you for being here with us.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah. Perfect. And finally, representing Jakarta Smart City Unit, our key actor in our Smart Change project, whose boss has held the previous keynote in our online conference, Mr. Juan Intan Kanggrawan. It's been a pleasure to have you here as well, head of data and head of analytics at the Jakarta Smart City Unit.
Hello, nice to see you all again and to be able to contribute in this event. Thank you.
Perfect. And I think we should start with our guests far beyond that cannot, unfortunately, not be here today. And I would like to start with Juan. Juan, would you like to share a few short insights about Jakarta Smart City again to our audience here? Sure. And just for the first round as well, I would also like to ask you about a recent highlight of your work, an event or something that you achieved currently at your workplace. Thank you.
And we would like to double check with you, Helen. So I will present my screen for 5 minutes, right? Just to double confirm about the range. Am I correct?
Yes, thank you.
Sure. Let me just go straight away with my screen. And as just mentioned by Helen, I will just share some of the highlights and allow me to maximize my screen. Sorry, I can't see you, so I hope my internet connection is okay. But feel free to let me know if there's any disruption. So since it's only 5 minutes, I'll try to be very brief. And I think I have shared this slide before. So if you want to forward this to all the relevant participants, audience, and hopefully okay, and it's not really confidential. So the idea is for urban collaboration. My idea is simple: how we can collaborate more, especially across smart cities, in a more flexible way, in a more systematic way, and in a more scalable way. I think that's the idea. Some of them are not a really concrete initiative, but some of the wish or plan that I have in mind. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, let me share with you some of the key items within 5 minutes. So for the next slides is about the high-level direction for smart city. So we are following our government direction for the city 4.0. There's many definitions, but again, one of them is about the collaboration between citizen and government. So we want to sit down together, work together, collaborate together. So we are not only one-sidedly providing information or policy, but we want to work together and collaborate to build comprehensive solutions to solve city problems. That's the idea. And for our smart city, for smart city itself, so we are having this framework. So for this framework, I think with all the principles like mobile first, citizen driven, digital experience, smart collaboration, from there we derive all our project initiatives, including some of our key partnership that I will share later on. Go to the next slide. So this is the idea of our smart city. So smart city as data, as service, as platform, as hub, and as ecosystem. I don't want to talk too much on this, but again, as an ecosystem means we are not alone. We want to work together with the industry, university, research institutions, with all the other government agencies, and so on. That's the idea, and that's the direction, and hopefully we can provide value add together to the ecosystem. Next. I don't want to talk too much on this. This is my team, the way we work together with people from many backgrounds. I will not talk too much details, but maybe I can share during the discussion. And yeah, about my recent work, other than the COVID-19, right? So I think we have done a lot of assessment on that. So again, the idea here is to really gather the data across agencies like health, flood, citizenship, education, and so on. So people do not need to search into many places, so they can come to Smart City, to the platform, and from there they can get the comprehensive single source of this data. And when we deliver the results, I think we are not alone because we are not expert in all domains. So we want to work with other agencies and all the components in the ecosystem to really sharpen and deliver our insights. Obvious example with Jakarta Berlin, I think we have been working closely with the Innovation Hub, Smart City Lab, campus, and so on. This is one of the example. The one I want to share a bit more is about this, which is the last part, is my idea or my hope. I think it can be done, and I've done progressive steps on this. What I call the modular paradigm, or the networks of smart cities. It's not new. I also quoting certain research on this, but in the technology architecture, there's a monolithic and modular architecture. So for modular, I think it can be applied even to mobile phone. You can separate into several components. So I'm thinking along that line. So we have a lot of independent components that can work together. And when we take out certain component and we plug in the new component, there will be no major disruption. That's the idea. So to me, I would like to see the network of smart cities that's in ASEAN, with European Union, even the other opportunities with US, with Japan, Korea, and so on, to have this kind of modular paradigm whereby we can have certain modules that can be easily integrated, that can be easily collaborated across other smart cities. Yeah, I think this is the simple idea. By having this, I think we can scale up and we can foster a better collaboration. And for sure, the collaboration can be from any angle, can be from the business, technology, integration, data, service, and so on. But I think this is the idea and my key points in this session. Let me stop my screen sharing. So I hope by sharing this, we can foster a better collaboration, because in the past, from I have seen, not only in Jakarta, but other smart cities, I think a lot of paperwork, a lot of administration that is required. But to me, I try to see it more from the scalability, flexibility, and how we can get the actual result as soon as possible. I think that's my hope and my wish for smart city. And for sure, the context of COVID-19 really trigger us how we can expedite our innovation, our transformation, and the way we collaborate together. I think that's my brief notes. I'm sorry if I'm taking a bit too long, but that's my brief remarks and presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was very insightful. Yeah, I think we will talk about the question of what kind of integration, or what integration needs as for regards to technologies, invested in technologies as well later on. Well, now I think I would give the word now to Mr. Arakin, if you'd like to share your perspective.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much.
Okay, give him a moment. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes, we see it. Thank you.
Okay, so today hello again. I'm gonna share you what we have done recently, and what we call is the RE Innovation District. Actually, it's like a bottom-up approach, driven by the private sector. But before that, I'm from AIS, which is the largest mobile operator, and we have transformed ourselves into something we call the digital life winder, having 5G as the core, engine for the transformation. When I talk about 5G, I also referring to the cloud, IoT, big data, and also the AI technologies, sitting behind transforming everything that we do. So with the 5G, it is not the conventional mobile broadband service provider any longer. So 5G actually is like the engine, the big engine for this the Internet of Things, so to speak. It can collect the data, understand the insight, and you can send some command, control all the devices at the field. So that's why we have worked with the partners. When I say, working with partners, we really, really work with partners like this program alone, we call it IoT Alliance program. We have like more than 1,000, enterprise, working with us, try to, embed our technology inside their own business, processes. Okay. And not only that, when we promote this 5G, we always, come up with the focus lenses. We came up with a few of them, like smart living, smart transportation, which is quite matched with the mobile operator, the smart factory, smart health, and also the smart city. I intentionally put the question mark there because we always struggled with the how we could sustainably contribute to this smart city solution, this kind of a big question. So I can tell you a little bit, back like 2 years ago, we started to think about how to work with our consumer, because we are as we are like a mobile operator, we usually sales the device, gadgets, peripherals, to the consumer when they come to get a new one. We rather collect that one, as normal processes. But we think, hey, why don't we just do a bit more for others? So we came up with this idea to have this e-waste project by having the smart bin, smart trash on every branch we have in Thailand, and we collect the electronics garbage from anyone, regardless of whether they are AS customer, for example. And since then we have collected like 200,000 pieces of electronics garbage, and or you may say is equal to somewhere 2 million kilograms of carbon dioxide emission. So it's quite something. So since then we think, hey, why don't we use the same concept for the larger problem, which is smart city itself. So that's why we had 5 informal meetings with partner inside the ARI district, and collectively we have 18 enterprises right now, not only the public sector, associations and also the academy, but we also work with the energy sector, robotics, banking, investment, real estate, and also more important one is the community representative also, and that's also important because otherwise, our solution will not match to anyone, right? So altogether, 18 organizations with up this ARI Innovation District Consortium, with the hope that we're gonna have something like by 2025, we're gonna be like a super sandbox. I want to make it more not so aggressive here, because having something really the cognitive city is something very hard to do. So we just hope that by having this super sandbox, so all of us all together can do a bit more for others, having something on top of what we are doing right now, become like not only AS just like the operator alone, but we work as a partners to become like a a guy with bigger shoulder. Okay, so if we were to have that successfully, so with this RE Innovation District, so we have the super sandbox to test and try our solution into the public before going commercial. That's the idea. So we have craft this idea, and this is very simple to do, I think, because it starts with the informal session with our partners and come up with something that we can have in common interest, And we have the, we need to set up the sustainable business model. We try to incentivize the ecosystem by itself. And with that, we don't forget to put something very important like Juan already said, that we need to have something like a big data so that we understand more insight, so that we can build something more advanced in the future. So this is like the whole idea. And we have craft our roadmap for our innovation district in a way that we not focus on the target solution like a smart lighting or something like that, but we are focusing on the how to build a collaboration platform where we can test and try and we can share the data so that we can understand the problem better, so that we can craft our strategy to the target 2025 better. And this is just like an example. So we just recently opened the we call for an open corpus where we can have a standardized data schema so that we can let our machine learning that we can run and test and come up with the AI model together based on the standard data that we have. So to close with this presentation, by this approach, bottom-up approach, we are so believe that we can come up with the localization of the smart city solution which might match to the Thai context. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way, we have innovation center. Yeah, so we are just one of them, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just a map of from Bangkok.
Yeah, this is exactly. Bangkok. Yes,
yeah,
it's Bangkok. Yes, that's one of the eight.
Oh, just describing it to the audience here.
Oh, sorry. So is it in Thai? So I'm sorry for that.
Yeah,
so the big green dots here is the RE district, okay, and the rest of them are like the innovation district for the local wisdom, fintech, logistic, digital media, and so on. So we're just one of the eight, and we hope that with that platform, collaboration platform, we work together, in the larger, problem domains that we're gonna solve for the Bangkok. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Arakin, for this. Well, it definitely seems to be a very systematic approach there, even though it's not, it is focused on the district level development and maybe not like a city as a whole or like the entire areas covered there, but still also like additionally to the Jakarta perspective, which is focusing on the data integration and to have a modular approach here for further collaboration and integration for the IT architecture. Let's come now to Berlin, back to Berlin from Southeast Asia. Thank you so much for the presentation so far. In Berlin, I think we have a very long-standing history of smart city strategies and approaches, and I think Beate is the right person to give us an insight here. Tell us more about the smart city unit in Berlin Partner. What were the drivers throughout the years about smart city in Berlin?
Yeah, thank you very much, Helen, for introducing me. So maybe you don't know Berlin Partners. It's a business promotion agency of the land Berlin. So we help Berlin-based businesses to grow here at the business location, but that's not all. Of course, we attract investors to come to Berlin to settle down here, but what we do is innovation management. So bring all the expertise of our academia, of the businesses into the city, and to help the innovative ecosystem to grow here. So that's the main reason why we started 8 years ago with the Smart City unit, because we asked our clients, our businesses in Berlin, is smart city a topic for you? And they said, yes, it's not just a trend. We all have our expertise we want to share with Berlin, we want to bring in. So we founded with 20 early movers, a kind of ecosystem, the network Smart City Berlin. So my unit is kind of conducting, coordinating this network, this ecosystem consisting of about 200 smart people in Berlin, coming from all stakeholder groups. That means corporates, like the big ones, the big players, like our startups, but also the academia, the research institutes, public administration bodies, being on a state level or the district level, public enterprises, and so on. So this is really, as you, Arakin, just said, a common journey, not with a clear goal to reach, but to make Berlin smarter, to make it more livable, but to be also innovative, to keep the bright minds in the city and to let them help us to make it a better city. So what we started with this community to define projects, to find ideas how we can shape Berlin for the future, to make it better functioning, to have a better city management, to create ideas how to involve citizens, like projects like Kiezradar, or how to get synergies in our public enterprises for maybe just to mention one, the Smart Business District, which is really about finding synergies between neighbor companies, and so on. So it's really a long-term process, and it's a process of changing mindsets, of open collaboration processes, of understanding each other's perspectives and discussing on the same level. And I think that is one of the milestones we have reached together, helping the city to write our first smart city strategy, which was published in 2015, and now again, not assisting, but co-writing the future of Berlin. Yeah, let me finish with this word to come into the presence.
Yes. So yes, co-writing, I think, is the good signal word here. Angela, what's your experience so far? You have been quite new in the newly started project in the Senate Chancellery, and how can you? How's your experience to also continue the story together with Berlin partner in the smart city endeavor here?
Yeah, thank you, Helen, for, let's say, connecting the two stories, because Beate and I know since, I don't know, many years. We met in Barcelona and at the Smart Country Convention and in the Smart City Network. And before I started my job in the Berlin Senate Chancellery, in the governing mayor's office, I worked at the Technical University of Berlin and at a small research company for applied research and for, let's say, service design for citizen participation. And there we had many connections. And I, let's say, I accompanied somehow the previous development of the smart city strategy, which was much more, let's say, industry or business driven. And now we have a completely different approach. And since 2020, when our current model project started, we, let's say, flipped the idea of creating a smart city strategy from the previous model to, like, from the bottom to the top, and we have now implemented a very bottom-up approach. And so the first achievements are that we created a strategic framework, which was, let's say, created in close collaboration with the citizens of Berlin and different stakeholder groups. We also involved so-called silent groups. That is groups that normally when you ask for participation, they normally don't speak up. So we went to them and asked them in interviews and small focus group interviews, what is their view on smart city? And this is what we built on now in, let's say, the core process of developing the smart city strategy. The participation process will start end of October, beginning of November, with, let's say, the whole society of Berlin. And but let me first focus on what happened inside, let's say, the Senate Chancellery and the big Berlin administration, because we started with a very small team, which I wasn't part of previously. So it was a team of 3-4 people initially. And what is, let's say, special, I would say, is that the core team had a close collaboration with an entity called City Lab. The City Lab is our link to civil society and to academia, and a close collaboration to the Smart City Unit, which is our link to academia and businesses and corporates. And we are like working very closely together in this process of collaboration. And there's another, let's say, I think very interesting entity in Berlin, which is not yet so much included in this process. This is the Infra Lab, which, let's say, involves all the public enterprises and also private companies who, let's say, focus on infrastructure provision. And so we are, from the, let's say, governance setup, we are trying to establish a structure which can stay on even if the strategy is written by the end of next year.
Okay, thank you so much. It's very interesting, and I think we all here in Berlin are also very excited how this initiative has an effect on urban innovation and also the businesses here in Berlin. My next question concerns more the traditional concept of smart city being very connected to technologies. Technologies in the sense of a means to an end, or to really invest in them directly if they are somehow identified to be very future oriented. I would like to give this question to Arakin, as being one of the pure business companies representatives here. How do you choose the technologies that for your activities? I mean, in the telecommunication sector, you have some key elements that are now the trends, like 5G technology and so on. But how do you channel the investments into those technologies and first and foremost identify them?
Okay. As I said, we have this concept, do a little bit more for the others. So basically, every year, all of us, mobile operator invest a lot in the network infrastructure. Not only that, but also the cloud, the IoT, and big data itself. So with that, we have collected all information that we have, from the utilization of the network, and try to utilize that with our own core business. So we just, again, spend a little bit more, open up the platform, not compromising the data privacy, of course. Open the platform for our partners to play around with the data. So with that idea, the investment become less issue, because we need to do that anyway. So our partner inside this RE Innovation District, we all have this idea. So that's why we, every month we have this informal meeting to talk about what we are doing, and and we bouncing the idea. We just grab some beer as well to get something very, very creative. And we invest what we have invested already, so to speak. So that's the way. And if you were to ask me, how we choose the the technology that we use to build this smart city, actually back to my answer again, that we invest what we are doing in our core business. So it's not the extra investment to our board at all. So and that's it. I know whether I answer your question, but that's our approach, the bottom-up approach.
Okay. Yeah, bottom-up approach I got, and also the necessity. So you really cannot cannot live without those technologies anymore to grow your
Correct.
ideas, and the innovation district setting up is strongly connected to certain technologies. Juan, I know you from your work. We have known each other for a year now, only via Zoom, unfortunately, but I know that, for instance, artificial intelligence technologies play a role at the Jakarta Smart City unit. How do you manage the investments in those future technologies in your smart city approach?
Thanks for the question. Yeah, and I'll try to be very pragmatic over here. For sure, as smart city, we need to know the latest tools, latest innovation, and so on. Because I believe there will be certain disruption across domain, across industry. I think that's what I can foresee. But it doesn't mean we need to buy. We need to use all the entire new technologies. Some new technology, they are still in the early stage. Some of them, they are still in exploratory mode and so on. So I think what I typically say and typically decide and also execute in my context is to really align that with our current strategic direction. It can be in the governor level, in the city level. It can be in the national level with our president, ministers, and so on. And even it can be in the regional level. So to me, technology is an exciting element that we should follow, that we should be aware of, especially about the latest innovation. But I think there will be another important factor, in my perspective, is how we can relate that to the strategic landscape, to the strategic context, and how it can support the strategic direction of our organization. In my context, is the Jakarta administration, or let's say how to build the digital ecosystem in Jakarta. I think that's my comment. But at the same time, related to the investment, I think we know in government we have the typical annual or yearly administration, let's say for procurement, for investment, and so on. Even now, I'm preparing a booklet for Jakarta investment in the region. Right? So I think a lot of works that's required. We work together with the central banks and so on. So I think my point here is I think we can make it a bit more scalable, a bit more flexible in the sense that any new tools, now that's why we are building the concept of Jakarta Smart City Labs, whereby any technology providers can be a big one. Let me give a name like Google, AWS, maybe IBM, Microsoft, and so on. Come, I mean, if you have any new tools, you can share to us, you can present to us, and let us try. It doesn't mean we will purchase or will continue, make it scalable, but we can do certain pilots. So I think this kind of pilot initiative, this kind of exploration, both from the technology and the use case, will be exciting because it can be a good learning point for Jakarta Smart City participants or employees themselves. So I think that's the context. And at the same time, we want to nurture the local startups, local ecosystem, local digital community, and so on. So I think that's my view about the areas of the technology investment. In short, I want to be aware about the latest innovation. I want to try as much as possible. At the same time, I want to align that with the strategic direction of the city itself. I think that's my comment. Open for discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Aligning to the citizens I got on the last sentence. I think this brings me to the next question, because technologies, as I said before, are usually a means to an end. And when it comes to collaboration and also reaching out to civil society, Angela, how is technology chosen there? Like the digital apps, I think you have been working on in the past. How did you decide what to take and what to choose for perfect or optimal participation?
Of course, I cannot promote any specific solution here. No, but first I would like to say that our smart city strategy is meant to be, let's say, not technology driven, but people centered. And when we, let's say, focus on the public participation process, we don't only want to, let's say, involve online or platform participation, but also face-to-face, because the aspect of deliberation is quite crucial to us. It's not just raising a question and getting an answer, yes or no, or like or dislike, because this often doesn't bring out the best solution, but the best solution comes out when you have, let's say, 4 to 6 people sitting at a table and looking into each other's eyes and discussing a question. Only then, hearing the different perspectives from the different people, you get ideas how to, let's say, find the best solution. And this is what we try to do with our citizen, how did we call it? So citizen panel chosen by lot. So it's a random selection of citizens of Berlin who are invited to come together and, let's say, consult the smart city strategy process and come together and discuss the questions which are of major importance, and come out with recommendations and concrete ideas for measures to be implemented in Berlin. And maybe a last sentence, for us, the smart city strategy doesn't describe mainly what to do, but how to do it. Because in Berlin, we have so many strategies, concepts, and plans already. And we decided not to write another strategy with another set of aims and targets and measures, but we would like to build on what is already there and make it smart and try to enable existing strategies. So it's more looking at how to do it than what to do. But of course, concrete measures definitely play a role, because concrete measures or pilot projects make smart city visible and livable in the end.
Mm-hmm. True, I think so. I'm very excited to see that process, because making it smart, connecting the dots that are already there, is what we all aim in our 3 cities at. And Arakin, I would like to ask you about the public awareness for a smart city in Bangkok. How do you involve the citizens? What citizens play a role in the innovation districts? More like a consumer, prosumer, or having those, as Angela said, like maybe deep talks or deep dives to make sense of it all. And I know that the key in Bangkok is, of course, to increase happiness as well as in Jakarta. So it's as simple as that in the end. But how do you try to enforce the participation of the citizens there?
Well, it's kind of lucky we have the RE district community representative inside the body of the innovation district itself. So with that, we try to ensure that that representative, come and join us in the informal meetings every time that we have. So, for example, I don't know what happened in Berlin, but in Bangkok specifically, we have this COVID-19 locked up, and the economy here is quite bad. I should say that. So once we talk with the community representative, we all understand that we might be able to help them in the way that most of the business in Thailand, we have this the privilege program called Point. I don't know whether you have it. When you make a shopping, you get point from what you have purchased. With that, it's as it's like pretty much like the customer asset without underutilized asset inside the accounts, for example. So once we understand that with the representative, you try to come up with the idea of, hey, why don't we just utilize that underused assets of the customer. For example, you might get the street food, by make a transaction with AS Point, so that we can firstly the customer get something, and at the vendors they also get the money back when they give point back to us, and we give money back. So this is the example of how we how we go with the flow, with the real pain point of the community. So we try not to promote in the public that much, but we rather talk with the front line and see what happened, and we try to offer them the service. And after we test it, and if it doesn't work, so we just kill it. That's the way we make it like a startup way of working. And unlike the large enterprise, promote first and done nothing.
Yeah, that is indeed a very business-driven idea of interaction and collaboration here for a goal. But anyway, very helpful, I think, to progress in the sense. Juan, you're more part, I think, or between one leg in the public sector, one in the private sector as a public-private agency you're working in. What's your view there? Do you see that there's like a bit of a conflict of interest between the public agencies and the business side, or would you think it's best to create those single sandbox approaches to have no different perspectives at all in the beginning?
Yeah, thanks for the question. And again, I'll try to be pragmatic with the on-the-ground situation to answer this question. And again, if I reflect back, the nature or the characteristic of smart city itself in Jakarta, I think it's very unique, in comparison, let's say, to other smart city that I know, let's say in the ASEAN countries. So I think for Jakarta Smart City, we start as the government agency for sure, but moving forward, we also want to develop and monetize our product, services, data, digital portfolio, and so on. I think that's the idea. So as you may have heard, for Jakarta, now we are in the stage of regional service agency. So you can imagine it's something like the government hospital, whereby we can do certain transaction, do certain monetization, like selling, let's say, medicine for hospital, like the doctors and so on. But for sure, we are not profit oriented. So I think that's the balance between governance, how to still comply with the law policy in the government context. At the same time, we want to innovate, we want to give value add to the ecosystem, and we want to have like a so-called proper transaction, and especially data-related transaction. Should be ethical, should be protecting the privacy and so on, security and so on. So I think that's the idea. So again, to answer your question, right, in relation to the partnership, collaboration with the industry and so on. I think the question or the fundamental is still the same, with the question like, how should we collaborate with other government agencies? Let's say for the data exchange, I receive a lot of this question. So again, to me, I see it very practically. What is the use case and what is the context and boundary? I think I will leave it on that angle. So we know when we want to work together with certain companies, can be big companies, can be local startup, can be community. Then again, what is the use case? What is the objective? What is the problem space that we want to tackle? And in this working or collaboration relation, what is the model? What is the operating model, right? So if there's any win-win situation and it is still in the governance boundary, if it is still fair from the commercial perspective, then why not, right? I always think about that one. But again, my point of view here is how we can expedite this process. How can we make it faster? How we can build collaboration with more partners? How we can have a proper guideline? Let's say, I give an example, we have the super app for Jakarta Kini. So if you want to provide your app services integrate with our super apps, it can be in front end, back end, can be in the view, web view, and so on. What is the mechanism? What is the configuration? What is the decision-making framework? So I want to so-called semi-automate that. I want to expedite that. So in the future, you don't need to really review one by one, what is the use case, the readiness, and so on, like months and so on. I don't want to have that. I want to improve some of the speed. Let's say in a few weeks, we can already collaborate and we can give results. I think that's my practical comment. I hope I can address the essence of the question. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. So I think we'll come back maybe to the last round for this session today. We are in a bit of delay, but I think this is the most important part of this session, where we actually talk about the next steps, the following, what is actually happening. First and foremost, between our three cities, maybe, and what are your views on what you heard today? What are the components where you think this is actually a component where we consider to collaborate further, to exchange our approaches, coming to the civic participation, maybe the use cases discussed with citizens from the more business perspective, but also from the societal perspective, maybe defining silent groups in other cities, or also trying to see if funding mechanisms are scalable or are transferable, depending on the clusters and the economic situation in each city. So I would like to give this as a last round, like what are the different aspects here, the current smart city challenges that you would think or consider further collaboration with other cities such as Jakarta, Bangkok, and Berlin, what you have heard today. I'm asking who would like to start, because this is kind of a huge question. I try to introduce it a bit further with some points, but Angela, you're looking at as if you were ready.
I can make a start, and
Okay.
maybe I'll add on later.
Okay, thanks.
So what was very, very interesting for me is the issue of happiness in the center of developing a smart city strategy, and I'm really happy to learn about your KPIs for happiness. So let's discuss them, and we try to see how can they be adapted to Berlin. No idea how, and if we find a common idea of happiness, or if it's a very, let's say, diverse picture, when you look at the diverse society of Berlin, and I'm sure also Jakarta and Bangkok. So happiness, I think, is something to be added in Berlin. And what I also find very interesting to share the different, let's say, models for data governance. So how can, let's say, data be governed between public bodies and the private sector, let's say it roughly, because we are piloting a project where we envision to collaborate with a big data platform provider. And so on the one hand, we are, let's say, bound to work on open, let's say, open data, open source, and so on. And on the other hand, of course, the big providers need to, let's say, realize their business models, and to find a good balance between those two ambitions would be really interesting to also learn from how you find solutions here. So maybe these two for the first round. Thank you.
Shall we continue? You've been asking about investments. So it's not just the monetary investment. Of course, funding programs can help to initiate innovations, collaborations. It's just an impulse. It has to be fixed in the public budget as well. I know that's complicated, but has to be not just piloting, but bringing things or ideas into regular operation, not just in pilots. But investing is more than just financing. It's investment into the people. Let the people grow and let them learn lifelong, and different stakeholders, being the public servants. So why don't we have a credit point system for our public servants to learn more about smart cities, solutions, their needs, to invest into our young generation. They are the smart citizens of the future. To bring them into projects, how they can co-create this, how they take responsibility for their district, for the neighborhood, so on. Don't let them be, you had, John, a nice overview about the different fields. Don't let them be just consumers of technology, but co-creators. What we see in our cooperation with the surrounding land of Brandenburg, there is a smart country community. We try to cooperate between Smart City Berlin and Smart Country Brandenburg communities, because we don't want to invent everything twice. So use solutions of other cities, other projects, learn from each other, and create win-wins. You've mentioned it as well, the win-win-win situation. and create added value for the citizens, for the public administration, for the whole city.
Thank you so much. Already very good points. I think I give the word to Juan now. You heard about ideas for improving data governance or exchanging ideas about data governance. I think this is your area of expertise, but also the training of human capital, like human resources in the public administration. I think the training is something that you already do in Jakarta as well. So where do you want, or where do you aspire an added value here with collaborating with cities such as Bangkok and Berlin?
Sure, thanks for the question. And then the comment about the data governance, for sure, I will give some thoughts on that, and also about the possible collaboration moving forward. So again, I'll try to be very pragmatic over here. So the first one, I think in terms of the collaboration in the past, typically what we have been doing, not only with Berlin, but other opportunities as well. Let's say we do certain sharing of best practice, for example, or second one, there's certain tools or solutions that we can present with the state of the art, for example. That's a typical arrangement. So if you ask me moving forward, especially in the context of data governance, right, I think we can have a bit more in-depth so-called insight sharing, not only, let's say, one time for 2 hours, for example, but let's say it can be more consistent, let's say twice a week in the following 3 to 4 weeks, right? So we can have a bit more rigorous understanding, and then to share knowledge of exchange knowledge from each smart city. That's one way that we can do it. Second one, I think in Jakarta specifically, we have what we call the Citizen 360 Master Data Management. I think that's the future direction, how we can empower the digital ID, super apps, and so on in Jakarta context. I think one of the possible collaboration, we share our high-level trajectory, our plan, and then from there we can discuss in which specific areas we can work together. I think that is the second point about the possible collaboration. The third one that I am really wishing is about I think I'm referring also to Mr. Arakin, right, about the sandbox concept, right? I think it can be applied in different ways, but for smart city, it's as simple as we have data sets, and we prepare that not only in the portal via CSV or JSON format, but it can be real time, it can be near real time, and we also already prepare consolidation of problem statement, data sets, existing works about the slides, research, and so on, and the future works. So from there, we can work in the more concrete manners, and we don't need to read it from scratch, right? Oh, this is our data set, it's our problem statement, but we already know certain understanding, and we can discuss directly what will be the next steps, what will be the next value adds when we talk to the, let's say, university, industry companies, and hopefully we can test certain solutions together. So let's say there's certain API, certain data model, we can try to deploy in a certain smaller scale, and what will be the possible so-called results or trajectory from that. I think that's the possible way, and from the technology point of view, it can be exciting, and for sure, if it is successful and we can scale this up, it can be beneficial for the citizens, for the city, for the society. I think that's my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Juan, for this last statement from yours. I'm happy to hear, and I think we still have a year time to really identify those areas of collaboration and help each other in our endeavors here. And Arakin, you have the last word. What do you think, as our, would say, newest exploration city, Bangkok for smart change? Would you think that the sandbox approach, for instance, is something that you would like to exchange further on how Jakarta is doing it, how the collaboration is working within so many different stakeholders in the city? What are your views on further collaboration?
Yes, my leaning towards the the scale sharing. I don't know, your environment has the same environment as Thai context here. I think Thailand is quite a developing country where most of the budget, the government budget has been used in something else rather than the smart city. So I think in Thailand, I think the way to make the smart city happen must be the bottom up approach, where there will be a sweet spot, balancing between the citizens, the city, and also the business. So if if I were to have a successful case, I am so happy to share that with you guys. If you have the same problem as Thailand, and likewise, if you have something, that you have done, successfully in your country. So I love to listen to it and learn from it. The collaboration or the use case sharing doesn't mean, sharing the business model that you have, but also maybe something more in the technical part, just like, the data schema, how you keep the data, having the data like, having a weapon in the future. So, sharing data in a raw format is something that very, very dangerous. And also, every data scientist keep that alone inside. It's like their own asset. So having the data schema, segregating between the raw data and the corpus, that's something that we need to learn. And actually, that is the most important infrastructure for the data, monetization that we need to build for our city. So if you have that, we learn we love to learn that from you. Yeah.
Happy to hear. And I think after this conference and after the AsiaBerlin Summit, we will find the time to discuss again how we can set up maybe specific workshops and webinars where we can really work on some part or challenge components in all our complex situations we face here. I think I would like to close here now. We had a slight delay, but I think we kept the time in total. Thank you so much to the speakers. Thank you very, very much. The online audience can continue in our Smart Change online conference sessions regarding smart mobility and smart environment discussions and the introduction of our online learning and exchange platform that we develop. For the offline conference audience, thank you very much for being here with us today. Also to the speakers, I hope we can still enjoy a nice day here at the summit and a physical event in Berlin. And I give back the word to the MEDA operation team and the Smart Change online conference. And would like to say thank you for having us, and have a good day, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Helen.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, stay safe. Bye.